So Derek is busy saving the world from financial desolation, ensuring one structure at a time. He may be good by name, but he'd choose Darth Vader if he could be any fictional character.
Yeah.
On the flip side, his favorite quote is attributed to Yoda. There is no try. It's either do or do not. His favorite time of day is foot rubbing time, and I'll let you ask him about that. If he had to change his first name, he would change it to D'Artagnan. And Gerard Butler would play him in his biopic. His favorite tool is a hammer because it can be used to build, destroy, kill, drive tent pegs, and so on. If he wasn't already infatuated with covering assets at the best possible rate, he would be a pilot for a commercial airline. He enjoys reading sci-fi novels and spending time with his family. Please welcome the multifaceted D'Artagnan, Derek Good.
I keep trying to convince one of my children when they have their first son to name him D'Artagnan, and for some reason they're resistant to that idea. Can't figure it out. Because, come on, the fourth musketeer is cool. But, anyway, thank you for the introduction. She was poking fun at me about some of my answers, but it's all good. Insurance. Everybody knows my favorite subject. Insurance is what pays the bills, but insurance is also what protects you as a customer. Been leading up to this 7-minute discussing automobile insurance, but some recent events have made me want to shift just a little bit to talk again about things that are specifically excluded. But on the automobile insurance, everybody knows that the Georgia state minimums, you've heard me say it ad nauseum at this point, are $25,000 in bodily injury, $50,000 per accident, $25,000 in property damage. Just a reminder, 8% of the people out on Georgia roads right now have zero automobile insurance. 61%, now this is inclusive of the 8%, have either those Georgia state minimums or that zero insurance. That's why it's so critical when looking at your own vehicle coverage that you carry higher than the minimum liability limits to protect your assets, okay, from somebody getting a great attorney like Mark and going after you. Okay, because once your insurance is exhausted, it's paid out, they're done, they're out of it. But a good guy like Mark can still go after that person's personal assets. And you know what? They can attach everything except qualified retirement programs. They can go after the value of your home, the value of your car, the money you have sitting in the bank. Mark can go after. Okay? But insurance, if you have an adequate amount to protect it, it's going to be there for you. Same thing with the uninsured/underinsured motorist coverage. If you're injured because some knucklehead crashes into you and they don't have enough coverage, you go after your own insurance. Okay? And attorneys do go after their own client's insurance. It's just part of the way things are, and that's okay because you have enough uninsured motorist coverage to take care of your injuries. It's there for you. I can't begin to tell you how many people I've seen that have been involved in collisions, and all they had was that 25, 50, 25. But their bodily injury, just from the ride in the ambulance all the way to their initial meeting with the doctors at the emergency room, there's 30 grand gone like that. And if the other company, if all you had was $25,000 in bodily injury, don't think you're going to wind up with any money for your pain. So, make sense? So, regardless of who your agent is, look at those numbers. Protect yourself, protect your family. Now, along those lines, I want to talk about things that are not excluded. That are excluded from coverage. Not so much on the auto end, but more on the property end when it comes to your homeowners and your commercial insurance. Right? There are just things that are specifically not going to be covered. One of them, and I freely admit that, this camera would be covered under Mike's commercial policy. But we all know that the drone that he was driving, when it flew off, is not. Unfortunately, and that's because of the classification that the FAA classified that little toy that's been around. They classified it as an aircraft, and commercial policies specifically exclude aircraft. Had a recent experience with a friend of mine who owns a home in Alabama. He had his own pond on the policy that he stocked with fish and all that stuff. And because of the freeze, the hard freeze that we had just 3 or 4 weeks ago, it actually created a crack in his dam on his property, and that expanded. Well, guess what? Not only is that dam not covered, his fish are not covered, that he has, his $10,000 of stock in the pond. But everybody downstream, you would think my liability on my property would protect those people. If that dam were to collapse, he's on his own. Okay, exactly. So there are little things like that people just don't know. What really brought this to light were the unfortunate events that we all witnessed in Ferguson, Missouri. Okay, not talking about the death, I'm talking the aftermath, the riots and things. I was sitting watching these things, watching these businesses be looted and go up in flames, and it broke my heart thinking, okay, here's a business owner that might have $1 million loan with the SBA. Maybe they have their house tied up in the loan and it's on the line. Those businesses get looted and then burned down. Guess how much coverage there is? Zero. That's right. Rioting specifically excluded from commercial policies as well as personal policies. So that poor person who got robbed and then their business burned down and they've got that $1 million SBA loan, guess what? They're going to wind up in bankruptcy court. They're going to lose their home. And then because of that loan, ultimately the taxpayers are going to pay for it via the SBA. Okay? Unfortunate situation all the way around. But rioting specifically excluded. Flooding is specifically excluded. The definition of flood, any water that touches the ground first is excluded from coverage. If you have seepage through your basement walls, if there's a backup in the gutter system and water gets into your house, if water hits your deck, but the wind is blowing so hard it blows the water under the door, did that water touch the ground first? Yes, it did. That counts as ground. Okay? Right? It blows in under the door and ruffles the hardwood floors, and then you cut. Okay? So little things like that. It's better to have that conversation in advance than after the fact. Earthquakes, sinkholes. About 99.5% of the people in the state of Georgia, if your house gets knocked down by an earthquake, you're just like me. You're out of luck. Okay? Because most people in Georgia don't carry earthquake insurance. The sinkhole opens up, swallows your house in the state in Georgia. You got no coverage. Now, if we lived in Florida, I'd be telling everybody, brother, you need sinkhole insurance. Okay? Not a big deal here, but it could happen. Those are just some of the things that are specifically excluded. Those are the big ones. But everybody knows, your house burns down, a windstorm comes through, blows your roof off or something like that. That's going to be covered. You have a pipe that bursts because of the cold, which, by the way, it's going to be very cold this winter. Check your pipes. But pipe bursts, and when it begins to warm up, water starts to get lower in the house. That is going to be covered, subject to your deductible. I've got 10 seconds left. Guys, a great lead for me is that person that just doesn't know. Have to talk to their agent, have to talk to me. I'm a great referral for them. Thank you for your time. I'm done.